This is the Tulsa World Newsroom podcast from the Tulsa World. I am Jason Collington, the editor, and here with our new meteorologist, the first meteorologist in Tulsa World's history, Kirsten Lang. Kirsten is joining us, and we are launching her this week as we get into the meteorology business. It is something that we've been working on for a long time. Kirsten's been working on her forecasts, working with the new software that we have. That will, for the first time, allow Tulsa World readers to be able to get the weather information they want, their daily forecasts, there for severe weather, but also she's going to be writing a lot of stories for the paper and digging into some of those biggest, those weather stories, those weather phenomena that you're just not sure about. And you wish, man, I wish I could ask a meteorologist something. That's going to be something that she does a lot. Kirsten, let's kind of introduce you to everyone, kind of tell us your story a little bit, how you got into this business, and where you kind of first fell in love with weather.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, first, I'm so glad to be here. Trust me, this has been several months in the making, maybe even more than several months. We've been working really hard to get this together. So we're really excited about this launch. I know I am. I know Jason. I know you are too. So, I started kind of with weather and having a love for weather when I was younger. I didn't really have any kind of major weather event that shaped that. From San Antonio, so I'm not from Tornado Alley, and we didn't really have crazy weather down there. We would get some tropical systems, and you do get some severe weather, but it was more just the fascination of it all. I used to watch a lot of weathercasters on television when I was younger. I went and started shadowing some different meteorologists in high school. And I just kind of fell in love with it. I thought it was fascinating. I loved the science of it, and it just really piqued my interest. I actually then went off to school at Baylor University and kind of took a different path for a little while, because every kid does that when they're
right. Yeah, we all do.
Yeah, I think I actually started off pre-med. I don't really know what I was thinking, because I don't really like the sight of blood. but I started.
Former engineer. I'm a former engineer. Major. Yeah, I hear you.
Right. So everybody takes kind of their different paths. But started off then and at Baylor, finished at Baylor, but I got a journalism and communications degree. And when I was there, I did a lot of internships, and they were in both writing and in broadcast. Most of them were in broadcast, but I did kind of branch out, and I was getting into some of the local magazines, and one of them, actually, as an intern, they had me as a food critic in San Antonio.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I went around.
That's a fun place to go eat. Absolutely.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. But after Baylor, I knew that I still wanted to learn more about meteorology. I wanted to get into the business, but I wanted to actually know what I was talking about, rather than just, getting on television and blurting out numbers on the screen. So I went to Texas A&M first, and then transferred to University Incarnate Word in San Antonio. Kind of wrapped it up there. And while I was in school, still went out and got a job on TV. And from there, it's kind of history. I just jumped around like most TV people do at the beginning of their career, from Victoria, Texas, so South Texas, to Knoxville, Tennessee, and from Knoxville, Tennessee to Denver, Colorado, and then from Denver, Colorado to Tulsa, Oklahoma. So in all of these places, of course, I was a forecaster, I was a meteorologist, and learning about the weather all across the country. And so it was great. I gained a lot of experience just being located in various markets across the country. But in Tulsa, I've now been here since 2015, and I was broadcaster here for 5 years. And it's awesome here. Yeah, the weather that you get here is unlike any other. And I know everybody, I think, says that about where they live,
Sure.
But I truly think that we get some pretty remarkable weather here. So I'm excited to kind of take a new path on my career and combine the writing and the science, and even the on-camera stuff, because we're going to be having videos every day as well. And so I'm excited to kind of merge all of those together and put that out to our readers and our viewers and everybody online. So I'm excited.
Yeah, when we were sitting here, I think during the interview, it definitely came across that you had some experiences, but you hadn't ever had a chance to do them all at the same time. And again, as I said, you're not just going to be a face on video, a face on tulsaworld.com. You're going to be someone who's going to be writing, and we've got a really long story list of the stories that we've come up with to explore, and it can dig into some things that you think but you may not know. And again, what I like is that you don't mind teaching someone if it's about how lightning is formed, or teaching how this other kind of thing happens, and why do we get sleet and not snow, and so I think that those kinds of things will just not only give you a forecast but give you some reasons behind it, which I think is going to be the key to us being different than everyone else. What are some things that you have found in your life, in your career so far, when it comes to weather? And you have a column that's going to be in the paper. You talk about how weather kind of affects us all. It's like the one thing that we all have in common. Talk a little bit about what that is and what the kind of community that comes around your career so far when you've been there to serve people.
Sure. I like you just mentioned too, it's weather affects all of us, whether it's on the severe side, or just knowing whether or not, we can sit out at our son's baseball game this weekend.
Yep.
It's one of those things where it truly does affect your everyday life. And what I've noticed, being in Tulsa especially, is that a lot of people are really interested in it. And so I'm excited to be able to talk more about it on a deeper level whenever these types of topics come up, to give people maybe a little bit more insight into some of the questions they may have. And so, like you mentioned, we're really wanting people to submit questions that they feel like maybe they haven't had answered before, or, and it doesn't have to be complex. Why is it 32 degrees and it's still sleeting outside and it's not snowing? Those types of questions. I've had people ask me those, all the time over the past however many years, and it'll be fun to be able to get back to our readers and be able to answer questions, because I think a lot of people have interest in that type of thing. And like I said before, we have all types of weather here. We really, I think, get all 4 seasons. And so you have the snow, you have the sleet, and then you have tornadoes and severe weather. And I think that there's a lot of questions that people kind of churn up just as the year goes on and seasons progress and different weather events take place.
Yeah, I've heard of Oklahoma referred to as this kind of the Super Bowl of meteorology, because again, you've got all the things that could happen. We even get effects from hurricanes sometimes. It's like everything is on the table when it comes to weather in Oklahoma. It's unpredictable. It can go from snowing on spring break to extremely hot the next day. So it's one of those things that you're always going to be challenged. You're always going to be trying to be ahead of it. And like I said, we're asking for people. You've got a hotline for people to call. You've got your email address. You got your social media. We'll be asking people, what are your questions? And on Sundays, you'll be collecting those Q&As and answering those, and not only in videos, but in print. And then also you're going to have a column, Weather Wednesdays. Talk about some of the things that you want to try to accomplish with that Weather Wednesday column.
Yeah, like I mentioned before, if people have questions about anything weather related, I'd love to be able to expand on it. And even, get stories behind people. If there are weather events that happen and you see somebody that kind of goes above and beyond, let us know, because we'd love to highlight those individuals as well and tell their stories, first responders, whoever it might be in those types of situations.
And one of the things also I think that's all going to be important for us is we're wanting you to be in the community, work with, if it's teaching kids, if it's being where you need to be, to again associate people not only with you, but what the very important service that you're going to be providing. I mean, meteorology is something that does save lives. The forecasts and the warnings that you provide are going to be able to be there. And again, you'll be live on all of our platforms, tulsaworld.com, our social media, when those storms come up. And then again, everything's going to be collected at tulsaworld.com/weather, our new weather page that will feature not only your content, but your forecasts, your videos. And then we'll be doing some things like that. I think another thing that I think you've done a good job on social media is not only give that little nugget of, what's on everyone's mind, but also, making them think, okay, if this is going to happen, then you might think of this. Because again, what we're hoping for you to do is you're going to be doing game day forecasts for all, each OU game, each OSU game, many of the biggest high school games, the PGA tournament that's coming up, the PGA event that's coming up in Tulsa. You'll be providing forecasts during that. So again, this is just going to be another thing in the Tulsa world where we try to serve, where we try to help people know the information they need to know. Tell me if you could, it seems like you, after college, you also, if there's a trivia question about you, is that, did you know that you used to work on Good Morning America? What remind us of what that kind of experience was like?
Yeah, it was awesome. That was my senior year at Baylor, and they had a program called Baylor Communications in New York. And it was a group of about 10 students that went out, lived in New York together, and we all kind of lived in the same building. It was actually like a spillover dormitory for various colleges there in New York. And then we were all responsible for getting our own internships. And so I got one with Good Morning America, and I worked with the food producer, because when you're as big as Good Morning America, you have producers for each little segment. So right. I worked with the food producer specifically and helped her write segments and helped her produce those. And it was neat. I mean, it was all the segments you see with Emerald Lagasse or Giada de Laurentiis. So, the big names, big chef names out there. And I don't know if you can tell from this interview, but I do like food. Food critic, worked with the food producer. I like food, but anyways, so it was really neat. I mean, it was just a different experience working on a national level like that, and it was very awesome. But it did show me too that I do enjoy hometowns as well.
Oh, absolutely. Really absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that we've been building for the last couple of months is a weather center here at the Tulsa World. We've got a setup where you can go live. We've got graphics. You've got software that allows you to forecast, but also have those radars that you need to go over things and get everyone the information that they need. Our hope is again, not only just give you forecasts, but like you said, personalize it. Make sure that you put yourself out there. So if people want to ask a question, they know that they can, and that they know that you're going to respond. I think engagement and interactivity is something that we're going to bring to the table like never before. And again, we encourage people not only to look for these forecasts. We have an email, weather email that goes out at 5 a.m. every day that'll have your forecast on it and the latest weather information on it as well. But again, if there's something that happens, if it's going over the climatology report like we do every month, and there's a lot of news in those kinds of reports, we're going to be having you work on those. As I said, it's just, we're going to dig a little deeper. I think weather for the Tulsa World forever has been something that we kind of farm out, and that's something that we're going to bring in house now, and work on. And again, try to give people a better level of understanding. I think you'd agree with me that we're trying to bring up the knowledge level so people have a lot more clarity when it comes to the craziness that is our weather.
Yeah, I think so. And, even just speaking on a personal level with that, when you know more about weather too, you're less afraid of it. And I think there can be people that get a little nervous with severe storms, but if you know what's going on or you have some sort of knowledge about it, it helps out a little bit too.
Absolutely. Well, again, Kirsten, welcome to the Tulsa World. We're very, very excited to have you join us. As I said, starting this Sunday, you'll get video forecasts each morning, and then reports as things happen. And then again, look for her column in Sunday's paper, look for her column in Wednesday's paper going forward. Kirsten, again, so glad that you're here. This again is the Tulsa World podcast, Tulsa World Newsroom podcast. It's where I get to talk to people like Kirsten and the rest of the staff to talk about the story behind the story. Follow this and subscribe on Google, Apple, and Spotify. We'll catch you next time. Thank you.
Thanks.